Colin Powell once said, "There are no secrets to success. It's the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure." And we couldn't agree more. This is Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. We'll talk to people from all walks of life and pick their brains about their journey, the process, and the ups and downs to becoming successful. You want inspiration and motivation? It all starts here. This is the Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. And now your host, Kyle Sullivan.
What's going on, champions? Welcome to another episode of Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Sullivan. And today, I want to share with you some things to celebrate, some things I've learned, because at the time of this recording, we are on the 3-year mark of Unleash the Champ being launched. That's right. July 1st, 2020, I stepped out of a 12-year career of vocational ministry with one idea that I was 51% sure that I could make this idea of mine of Unleash the Champ work. And so we've kind of gathered questions over the course of the last few months from people as they've come in, all with the intention of just giving a behind the scenes. Oftentimes we don't document enough in the course of growing a business. And so in our podcast community, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for rocking with us. Thank you for sharing, commenting, rating, reviewing, all the things, you know. Thank you for all the people that I've had the opportunity to work with. Thank you for the folks that refer, give introductions, suggest me to things. It's truly been incredible. And so we're going to jump right into the questions, and we've made them where it's like in the beginning, lessons learned. It's going to be a quick hit as we do with these solo episodes, but it's just a time of celebration. So we're going to jump right in. The first question: what inspired you to start Unleash the Champ and launch your business? Try not to tear up here. The real spark was my daughter. Early on, I would tell the story that everything changed when my daughter was born, because when they handed her to me, said, "Hey, Mr. Sullivan, here's your daughter." I wanted to give presence of time, not just presence of things. And where I was at, I loved the church I was working for. It was incredible. It was a great experience, great opportunity. In some ways, if the pandemic didn't happen, I don't know that I would have Unleashed the Champ. But what inspired me is I walked around and I saw so many people living well below their capacity, and not their potential, because we all have massive potential, but their capacity. And particularly, I saw believers. I was a pastor for 12 years, and I'd see people waiting and hoping and resting. And though those things have their place, I think people do it too much. And I had 12 years of experience leading teams, developing people, building strategies, and helping teams and leaders grow. And I said, I'm going to do it on my own, because I wanted to give my kids, Piper and now Bo, and I want to give them stories of betting on yourself, not just theories of why it should work. And, it's, my kids are a big driver. Most parents would say that. And for me, it's not about, oh, look at me, but it is a look at me, and I'm going to show you what it takes to go all in on something. May or may not work. Like I said, I was 51% sure this thing would work. But I had enough enthusiasm, energy, and grit, and continue to have those things that inspired me to start. I just wanted to help people win. And now as they win, I want them to run up the score, and I want to do the same. So question one, good one. Question two: what were your goals when you first started, and how have they evolved over the past 3 years? It's a great question. Goals when I first started was just to get people to pay me, honestly. I started it in July of 2020. So listeners, no matter where you're at in the world, you know what was happening there. And though the mileage may vary on how strict things were, unstrict, or whatever, we were still in the peak of the pandemic. And my goals in the beginning was I just wanted to meet my income, and I wanted to help people. And in the beginning, man, I was just so excited to do it. I think that's why people said yes to me. I didn't have a website. I didn't have really a strategy at all. I'd hired a coach. We were working through things, and I was just excited to get started and excited to help people. How have they evolved over the past 3 years? Well, we have a lot more offerings now. We have the Huddle, which is our weekly coaching, incubator, if you will. I have one-on-ones. We have kids content coming out. We have a women's only leg happening. We have merch coming out. We have the speaker business that I get to do, training speakers. We're like 3 years in, we have so many different avenues that we're branding under the umbrella of, Unleash the Champ, that it's evolved. And so it's really exciting that this little idea, this phrase that meant everything to me and nothing to anyone else, has turned into something where people really want to get involved. And so really excited for that. Can you share some key milestones or standout moments that you're particularly proud of during these last 3 years? Yeah, a lot. This year, being able to hit 32 speaking events, that was huge. We've, moved the goalpost to the next objective and wanting to do 52 this year. So I'm really excited for that. I will always remember the first client that said yes. That was a big one. We still talk today. And, some 3 years later, and you'll never forget, like when businesses, they put up that dollar bill of the first dollar made. Yeah, I know what it takes to get that. And, the first time we hit 6 figures in income, that was dope. That was a huge milestone. I never made that in ministry. Being able to, have my wife stay home, that was a huge milestone. Being able to travel the world, being able to be in the top tier of professional speakers at Grant Cardone's Speak Off, the American Idol for public speakers. That was dope. Absolutely incredible. The launch of this podcast was a milestone. Hitting 100 episodes was a milestone. Hitting 10,000 downloads was a milestone. We could go on and on and on and on and on. And I think it's important that we acknowledge, just in our own leadership, in our own life, we acknowledge those moments that make us grateful, because as we journey to greatness, gratitude is the gate. And I just really believe that, as it's an axiom of me personally and of our business. And so, let's see here. How would you define the impact Unleash the Champ has on individuals and organizations you've worked with? Man, great question. 4 things. We create leaders that thrive, teams that develop, rivals beaten, and championships built. And so when a leader is successful, that's great, because there's more. If a leader is off, a leader to thrive, what it means to thrive is that all areas of your output, your input, your surroundings, it's all firing on all cylinders. You are dialed in. You got ice in the veins, as they like to say in athletics. Teams to develop, man, taking them from siloed to synergy, the backbiting, the cooler talk, the things like that, to, man, we're really collaborating together. We're empowering one another. We're for one another. We believe in one another. The rivals beaten, man, the first and most formidable opponent that you have, your biggest rival is your mind. And so being able to see breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough of people increasing belief, increasing hope, increasing action, increasing results, increasing drive, increasing motivation, increasing connection, and then a championship built is about living in a way that you're worthy of a championship. You're not just leaving a legacy, but you're living one. You're not just leaving championships in the field house, if you will, but you're living one and you're building that, and what it means to create a very clear, desired, preferred future, and using all the other things of who you're becoming, what you got to do, and the rivals that you need to beat to get there. It's really important. But all that to say, simply put, the impact we have is we help leaders, teams crush rivals, build championships, and run up the score. That's what we do. All right, kind of shifting here to kind of the lessons learned from launch. What are some of the challenges? Oh man, we could do that in a while, but the biggest challenge was belief. The second biggest challenge was value. Third challenge is worth. So belief, value, worth. How did I overcome them? I had great people that called me into the greatness I believed that I was capable of. Called me into the person I believed that I could be. Called me into the person they saw me to be. And that is what's so important, whether it be coaches, mentorship groups, incubators, whatever the case may be, having those people that when you are on the field against a rival, you're rarely by yourself. And even if you're on the field by yourself, you have your team, you have people on the sidelines, you have people in the stands, you have people tailgating, you have all of the folks that support you. You must have that. Looking back, what is the most significant leadership lessons you've personally learned from running this business? That I was so incredibly naive. I thought I was just I've been really successful in one thing, so obviously I'm going to be successful in the next. And though we've hit a lot of roadblocks because of just not knowing, not having the knowledge, not having the basis, not having the insight, not having the whatever. And me being too prideful. Naive and pride are a dangerous combination of not wanting to ask for help, not wanting to reach out to people that were willing, but I wasn't willing to ask. And getting over that has proven to be one of the best decisions I've made. What strategies have you implemented to gain momentum? Consistently provide value. Everything's trackable. We don't rise to the occasion. We fall to the level of our preparation and systems. And so every week we sit down, we track what you're doing, we track where you're going, we track your progress, and it's dialed in. Then and only then do we have some free flow conversation. But the targets that we set in the playbook, calling heart, altitude, mindset, performance, the five keys and the 4 phases, man, we believe in that. And that's what makes success predictable. What advice would you give aspiring coaches, consultant, entrepreneur, individuals looking to launch their own thing? Be ready to be hit in the mouth. Have people in your corner, and don't even consider shutting your thing down for 3 years. I had a mentor tell me that at year 3, you can know that should you look at something else, or are you on the right track? And should you just follow the plan, follow the process, enjoy the journey, all those cliche things. But if you're getting into this, again, where I fell prey was early on. I was helping, 16 people with 24 different things. It's all over the place. I call it the pastor problem. And overcoming that and just getting really clear on, like, we have 4 things. We create leaders that thrive, teams to develop, rivals to beat, championships to build. Like, that's the thing. Like, we went from doing all of this stuff to we're just doing a few things really, really well. And if I could have gone back and had that, I live in a fire ready aim mentality. Going back, if I could have refined some of that sooner, earlier, I probably would have been further than I am now. But I'm glad the journey, the refining that happens, understanding that in the beginning, you're going to be so excited about it. But when that excitement fades, or you have some low times, It's the anchoring of why something is important. Why is the thing you're doing important? That's what's really going to make a difference. And that's what's really going to drive you being able to do more, be more, become more, serve more, impact more, so that, as I say, you could truly unleash the champ. I think that's it. Well, hey, thank y'all. This was it's cool to read your questions. You can send them. You can find me on Instagram at Kyle J. Sullivan. There you can also go to unleashthechamp.com, submit a question there, as most of you that these questions went through on there. You can also look at utchuddle.com. That's information about our coaching incubator that we have. And we've got some really exciting things happening there. So you'd love to jump in on that. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on your favorite podcast, thank you so much for another episode of Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast.
You've been listening to the Unleash the Champ Leadership Podcast. Our passion is to talk to successful people and hear all about their journey and what it took to get there. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit up the website at unleashthechamp.com. Find us on Instagram at Kyle J. Sullivan and hit up that Facebook page at Unleash the Champ. Remember, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But by all means, keep moving.